You ever finish an anime and just sit there? Like, not because you didn't get it, you got it, maybe a little too well, and now you're just staring at the credits feeling kinda hollow? That was me after Steins Gate. This show didn't just mess with my head, it genuinely wrung something out of me. It left me with this weird, heavy silence, like I'd just lived through a dozen different lifetimes and was suddenly supposed to eat dinner like a normal person. And I kept thinking, why? Why does this story of all the time travel anime feel so emotionally exhausting? Why does understanding what happens make it hurt even more? And it hit me. In Steins Gate, knowledge isn't power, it's isolation. Every time Okurin figures something out, every new rule, every new realization about how the world lines work, he doesn't gain anything. Something gets taken from him. A moment, a relationship, a version of someone he cared about. He becomes the only one who remembers the worlds that no longer exist. Everyone else just continues on, happy, unaware, while he's still grieving things they can't even imagine. And that's what makes Steins Gate different. It's not about the mechanics of time travel, it's about the emotional cost of understanding. It's about how knowing too much can make you feel completely, utterly alone. Okurin's real power isn't time travel, it's memory. It's this terrible ability to remember every single timeline, every shift, every loss, even when nobody else can. And at first, he treats it like a cool party trick. He slaps a name on it, like reading Steiner, and he acts like it's part of his mad scientist persona. And honestly, early on, it does kind of seem like a superpower. But the more the show goes on, the more you realize it's not a gift, it's erosion. Every new thing he understands, it strips away a little more of the world he thought he knew. And the messed up part, he can't unknow any of it. There's this idea in philosophy called epistemic loneliness. Basically, the loneliness of knowing something nobody else does. And that's Okabe constantly. His knowledge doesn't connect him to people, and it pushes him further away. It becomes a wall instead of a bridge. And honestly, that hits close to home in a weirdly modern way. We're living in this era where we know everything constantly. Every headline, every disaster, every conflict, every possible future. We're drowning in awareness, but knowing everything doesn't make us more powerful. It makes us tired. It makes us feel small. It makes us feel alone with information we can't do anything about. Okabe's burden is time, ours is data, but the feeling, it's the same. Knowledge was supposed to illuminate the world, but sometimes it just casts a different kind of shadow. There's a point in Steins Gate at somewhere in the middle where the show stops being a fun sci-fi story and suddenly feels like a ghost story. And the ghost is Okabe. Every time the world shifts, everyone else forgets. Mayuri still laughs the same way, and Daru still cracks the same jokes. Kurisu still calls him an idiot, but we know, and he knows, they're not the same people anymore. Not really. They're echoes, versions of his friends that don't remember the suffering he's seen, and he has to pretend. He has to act like everything's normal. There is nothing lonelier than being surrounded by people who don't share your reality. That's the real heartbreak of Steins Gate. It's not the world ending or the deaths or the loops. It's the slow disintegration of mutual experience. Humans survive through shared memories. We agree that something happened, and that makes it real. But Okabe's memories stop matching the world around him, and once that happens, the world doesn't just change, it fractures. There's this philosophical idea called phenomenology, basically the idea that reality is built out of your experiences. Your perspective is your world, but Okabe isn't stuck with just one perspective. He gets all of them. Every world line, every timeline, every tragedy, all piled on top of each other. He becomes this eternal witness. A man who remembers universes that no longer exist. He walks through worlds that feel dead to him, surrounded by people who don't know they've died, and the more he remembers, the harder it becomes to belong to any version of reality at all. He becomes the god of memories, but gods don't have friends. Okabe starts the show as this goofy caricature, the mad scientist, the chuny kid grown up, but not really. He's dramatic, he's ridiculous, he's funny, he's performing intelligence instead of living it, but somewhere along the way, that performance stops being a joke. He believes he can fix everything if he just understands the system well enough. If he maps the timelines, calculates the shifts, figures out the attractor fields, he can save everyone. That's rationalist heroism, the belief that logic is enough. But Steins Gate turns that into a trap, a very cruel one, because every time he solves one problem, another one opens up. Every time he changes something, he creates new pain, new consequences. He becomes the guy who sees the numbers behind everything, the costs, the outcomes, the losses, and suddenly logic isn't a shield anymore. It's a knife. He can understand what's happening, but he can't justify it. He can calculate consequences, but he can't calculate grief. And here's the thing, you can't optimize your way out of suffering. You can't big brain your way out of heartbreak. You can't science emotion into submission. Okabe tries. Oh God, he tries. He tries again and again and again, resetting the world, replaying the pain, rerunning the same loss until he breaks. He thought knowledge would make him powerful. Instead, it made him responsible. And responsibility without rest isn't heroism, it's torture. Steins Gate isn't a story about mastering time. It's a story about realizing that maybe the most human thing you can do is accept that you can't. And then there's Kurisu. If knowledge is the thing that isolates Okabe, then love is the thing that makes it unbearable. Because Okabe learns the hard way that love and knowledge do not coexist peacefully. The more he knows, the more timelines he's seen, the more versions of Kurisu he's watched live and die, the harder it becomes to just love her in the moment. Their relationship starts with curiosity, two brilliant people challenging each other, making each other better, laughing, debating. It's intellectual flirtation, it's adorable, but knowledge ruins things, because as soon as he truly loves her, the timeline where that love exists becomes untenable. He can save her life, but only by erasing the version of the world where they fell in love. And what do you call that? A paradox? A tragedy? A cosmic joke? I think it's something quieter. It's heartbreak written in the language of physics. And the thing is, we all kind of know that feeling. Most of us have versions of people that only we remember. Relationships that ended but not in our heads. Moments that mattered to us but not to the other person. Okabe just goes through that on a cosmic scale. When he finally reaches the Steins Gate world line, when he saves her, it isn't triumphant. It's merciful, because now he gets to meet her again as a stranger without the weight of what he lost. Sometimes forgetting isn't the enemy of love. Sometimes it's the only way to let it happen again. And that brings us to the ending, the part of Steins Gate that lingers, because in the end, Okabe doesn't win by knowing everything. He wins by finally being allowed not to. He spent the entire series trying to become this omniscient, omnipotent savior, someone who remembers every version of the world, every mistake, every death, but humans aren't built for that. We're not built to hold infinite grief, and so when the story reaches its conclusion, it doesn't reward him with more understanding. It lets him forget just enough to start living again. And that's the part that hits me the hardest. We spend so much time trying to know more, to understand, to analyze, to figure out the meaning behind everything. But maybe meaning only exists because we don't know everything. Maybe the limits of our memory, the fact that we forget things, isn't a flaw. Maybe it's a mercy, because forgetting is what lets us focus on one life, one timeline, one version of the people we care about. Forgetting isn't failure. Forgetting is freedom. Maybe that's why Steins Gate hurts so much, because it reminds us that knowledge, real, total knowledge, is too heavy to carry and still be human, and sometimes the only way to save the world is to forget just enough of it to live in it again.